Thank you so much. I think many of us are probably thinking about how we could get in line for one of those fantastic looking apartments. So we are just about to get started, and I have a few introductory announcements to make. First of all, a most sincere thanks to all the sponsors who helped this event take place. So a warm round of applause for our sponsors. Thank you. And next, the purpose of the conference is multifold. Part of what we will be doing is here in this room where you see there's all kinds of nice furniture and people will come and have panels. Next, you know that we are also live online. So hello to our many viewers who are able to see us through Facebook and through iaguldilatvia.lv. And as you know, in the lobby, there are all kinds of very interesting businesses from various places in Latvia. I do encourage you to take advantage of breaks to go say hello and learn about what it is that they are doing. It's a bit warm today, and if you want to cool down, there's a very nice room called the Apaļā out this door and to the right. And that is a special room where startups from the local incubator are having their exhibits also. So there are multiple opportunities to learn about what business is doing and to make contacts. We are hoping to have a very interactive type of a day, and there will be two ways that you can ask questions and make your views known during the panels. The first is that you can send a text message or call, preferably send a text message, the first number that you see. And there is actually one of our volunteers with a physical telephone who will be receiving your messages. This is particularly meant for people who are out there somewhere, that you are very welcome to use this facility to contact the conference. Then the questions will come in, and then the questions will be delivered to the people on the stage. Or we will also have fun microphones called Catchbox, which I'm not exactly sure. Aha! We cast our eyes that way and we see a sort of a blue foam box, and it's puzzling yet not puzzling because it is a microphone in this box. And we will see it flying through the air, and I hope helping us to share views. And fun fact is that Catchbox is actually a Latvian invention, and the development for this fabulous innovation, not in Valmiera, sorry, in Riga, but it is a Latvian company. We are in a theater, and when you were coming in, you heard bells. It's going to be exactly the same as when you go to an evening production. 3 bells, first one at 5 minutes, second one, get going, third one, that's it, we're starting. And if you need any help at all during the conference, there are volunteers around in black t-shirts, and they will be very glad to help you. So I think that is it for the admin events. Oh, social media, hashtag. I hope that the translators know that the Latvian translation is Mirkļi Birka, is PLAIF 2018. And a quick flashback for me. You know, my first job after babysitting was actually for the PBLA. I worked for Mr. Jānis Ritenis in the Münster, Germany office in 1989 when I was 5 years old, or maybe a little bit older, high schooler. And at the time, the fight was for Latvian independence, and our job was to prepare telexes to send to Latvia, which was not yet Latvia. And here we are in Valmiera talking about business, talking about exporting to the United States in our first panel. So what a fantastic journey, what a transition. So now I would like to invite the first panel to come on stage and take their seats in these nice chairs. And while they are coming, I hope they see or hear that they're meant to come this way. And while they are coming, I will introduce the moderator, and he will take it from here. So the first panel, USA Business Environment, Establishing Connections and Export Opportunities. We have got a fantastic lineup of speakers today and tomorrow. Our moderator is Pēteris Blūmbeks, who was born and grew up in Chicago. He earned a bachelor's degree in economics from the University of Illinois and a JD at DePaul University. Peters now lives in the Washington, D.C. area, where he works as Assistant General Counsel of the Federal Election Commission. In 2015, Peters was elected the president of the board of the American Latvian Association, and as of January of this year, Peters is the vice chairman of the World Federation of Free Latvians. Peters, I'm going to give you the clicker, and I've been instructed to make sure that nobody runs off with it. The floor is yours.
So, we're going to conduct this panel in English for the most part, but most of us speak Latvian as well, so feel free to, during the Q&A, to use either language. So as the first panel, though, we had the challenge of figuring out how we were going to use this unique setting, and as you saw, we had some problems orienting ourselves. But I guess the idea is that we're in a theater, and so this is sort of a theater set, and so you just have to improvise, and we'll try to do that. So we're kicking off the Global Economic Forum with a look at one of the world's biggest economies, the U.S. economy. And specifically, we're going to examine the U.S. business environment as a place for Latvian trade and investment. As you were just told, I'm the president of the American Latvian Association, and I live in America. And I was also one of the organizers of the Spotlight Latvia conference that took place in Chicago last October. And it's great to see a number of familiar faces of folks who traveled out to Chicago to participate in that great event. And it looks like this one is going to be just as successful. The U.S. economy, the U.S. business environment is vast, diverse, competitive, and complex. Americans' taste is constantly evolving. They're convenience-seeking people. They're also technology-oriented. They have a capacity for change. We recently elected a new president. You may have heard about him. He's a change agent. So, to be successful in America, you have to be able to evolve and adapt. Bring something new, or just be really good at whatever you do. But as you see, we have 4 experts, and I'm not one of them. So I'm the moderator. So I'm going to turn it over soon to the panel, and then they'll tell you about their experiences. In particular, I think it'll be interesting to hear from the folks who worked, Roberts Kukainis, who worked, as well as Nathan Christensen, who worked at Michelin, and Girts Vevers, who works for Valmiera, who's with Valmiera Glass, and we'll hear about their experiences in America. Also, as I think I suggested, America is a highly regulated country, and so with multiple jurisdictions. There's the federal government, there are 50 states, and then there are numerous localities. There are all sorts of regulatory bodies looking at labeling rules, licensing rules, et cetera. And so we're fortunate to also have a lawyer on this panel who is going to talk about those subjects a little bit. So let me briefly introduce you to our panelists. Roberts Kukainis will be our first speaker. There's his picture, and there he is. He's an executive of Michelin, the big tire company. He's currently in the Michelin Global Services Department, based in South Carolina. He works with software development teams to develop and deliver services offers in the business-to-business space. Roberts is also Latvia's honorary consul to the state of South Carolina. He's a multiple-time presenter at PLAFES, I believe, so he knows his way around this type of forum. Our second speaker is going to be Girts Vevers. He's a executive at Valmiera Stiklšķiedra, or as we Americans like to say, Glass. A little bit easier to say. A major fiberglass company that has facilities in the U.S. Girts has been with them since 1997. He is the production manager, and since May 2018 has been elected to the board. And then our third speaker is Ēriks Kalniņš. He's a corporate lawyer who practices with a major law firm in the city of Chicago. Was a speaker at Spotlight Latvia and gave an excellent presentation, I thought, about the very complex legal landscape in the U.S. His area of expertise is business structuring and tax, both domestic and international. And he also is involved or has a practice in asset protection that consists of planning and implementation of domestic and offshore entities and trusts. And then finally, we have Nathan Christensen, who is a faculty associate with the U.S. Defense Department at the Naval Postgraduate College. He is, as I mentioned, he's also worked previously at Michelin and at TNT, the FedEx of the Netherlands is how it was described to me. And so he's an experienced business executive. And in his current position, he oversees international outreach and partnering efforts to match academic and research capabilities between American and foreign governments. So he has a lot of experience teaching people about Americans. And so I will now turn it over to Roberts. The speakers are gonna go between 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll turn to questions from the audience. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Peters, for the quick and succinct introduction. It's obviously challenging to do a diverse panel introduction and call everybody together. But I want to thank the organizers of this of the forum today for allowing us the opportunity to be here. I especially want to call out the words that the mayor of Valmiera said. And as a business person, there are words that I love to hear, which is, if it's going to be good for business, then there will be enough money for everyone. That's exactly the type of thing that a business wants to hear when it's looking at a particular area to invest money. So this slide is just the title of the title of our presentation for today. A little bit to introduce the participants with myself and my background. I'm currently the product owner within our Michelin Global Services and Solutions division, where Michelin has turned a big page. It's no longer a French tire company. What Michelin now is it's a company with global reporting units based in countries outside of France. My particular business unit has all of its P&L reporting that's based in Greenville, South Carolina, which is our North American headquarters. Tires is the traditional bread and butter of the company, but in the coming years, we're expecting that our market is not going to be in tires only. It's going to be in services and other things that we can do for our clients. So client, customer, those are other words that you're going to hear a lot from me in this presentation. As a product owner, what I do is I lead software development teams and I maintain a backlog of workforce software development teams to deliver based on the agile software development methodology. So agile, waterfall, everybody who's familiar with software knows how that happens. If you're not familiar with software, look at any of the websites that you visit or look at your mobile telephone. Everything on there and everything comes from either a waterfall, which is do this, then do this, then do this, then do this, or an agile, which is an iterative process that goes forward like this development methodology. Previously, I was the director of a joint venture that did tire pressure monitoring systems for original equipment manufacturers based in Detroit for Honda, Toyota, Ford, GM, Chrysler, etc. And prior to that, I was global business segment manager for agricultural tires from Michelin's headquarters in Clermont-Ferrand, France. And then I was the motorsports manager for BF Goodrich Tires, where we led all the motorsports activities for the brand in North America especially, and recently the brand has expanded again to Europe. At the same time, I'm the honorary consul for the Republic of Latvia in the state of South Carolina, which is a way of, which means that I'm the Latvian government's representative to business, industry, and educational institutions in the state of South Carolina. So America, we all like to talk about it. I love maps. Growing up, I had maps all over my room. This is a map of GDP, iekšējais koprodukts. This approximately shows you the size of different countries, iekšējais koprodukts, or GDP, as it relates to the size of the GDP of those individual states. Lithuania, you can see in the upper left-hand corner, it's represented as the size of GDP of Montana. So let's put approximately Latvia as that size of a GDP for a particular state. The point of the slide is, hey, it's a big country. It's a tough topic we're talking about. That means any of you guys' questions are good for asking, because the America is a big country, okay? And I come from South Carolina, which is represented as Romania. It's on the right lower left quadrant, just above Florida and near Atlanta. So another way to look at America is this type of a map. You've got the Silicon Valley and the far left of the country on the left side in California, and then you've got this big area called the far west. So when you look at a state like California, what you're really talking about is several different regions. You've got an interior of California that's heavy in agricultural production, and it's probably the breadbasket of America. It's where everything is, a lot of fruits and the vegetables and almonds and things like that come from. And when we talk about California, we often don't talk about it as fruits and vegetables, as that type of a powerhouse. But the powerhouse technologically is the very left side by the coast, which is the Silicon Valley area. Now the traditional manufacturing area of America is that blue area around Michigan and around the top of the country. It's also called the Rust Belt. But what you see in America, what's happening is you've got companies that are formerly in the Rust Belt. They're turned off by the long-term, maybe stagnant business culture of those areas, and they're a little bit turned off by the union presence in those countries, and they're also turned on by the opportunities present in that deep south area and also in the southern part of the far west. And you've got a lot of companies that are starting up their operations, business company like auto manufacturers. They choose to settle in that deep south area. And like what we see from Valmiera Stiklasšķiedra goes to the Georgia area, which is next to South Carolina. Printful goes to North Carolina, which is also in this area. Non-union, very foreign investment friendly, very international area of the country that has not traditionally been viewed in that way. So when we talk about business entry into the United States, big topic. So boil it down to three things. We're in the first, it's all like the first grade of business school. You need your market research. Where am I? What is the market? We talked a little bit about America. But then we need our entry strategy for our particular good or our service, and then we need a business plan, and specifically how we're going to make money doing this. This is what I work on at Michelin. We've got tires, then we've got services. So who needs tires and who needs these services? It's this guy. It's a trucking fleet. We look specifically at trucking fleets that have 10,000 or more power units that pull goods and services across North America. But what we also have is we have that trucking fleet, which buys our tires, which buys our services. They don't just need tires. When you go to talk to them, you're talking to your customer, and your customer has been telling Michelin for the last 20 years, I love your product, it's great, can you come see me later, it's doing what I want. And then we said, okay, thank you, and we went back and we made more tires. But what we found out was we're not talking to our customer, because our customer didn't really want to buy tires. They viewed it as a necessary thing. They were happy that we had that problem area handled, but their number one issue was driver retention. Their number two, because there's the driver shortage of truck drivers, the number two issue was the mechanical solutions on their tractor trailer, because parts break on it and they have to stop hauling goods and services. And their number three issue was emergency breakdowns related to tires or other things. So that bottom slide is the distribution type of network that we have to develop in order to support that trucking fleet customer. So Michelin changed the conversation with the customer from being one of a tire-focused conversation to a problem-focused conversation. And that's how we identified customer needs, and that's how we came to that we need to be the #1 supplier of emergency response for a downed tractor trailer in North America. We want to be #1 in mechanical solutions when you're broken down on the side of the road. And then we want to be #1 in the preventative maintenance of your tractor trailer so that you can keep hauling things, so you can keep delivering on the promise that Amazon has given to deliver your products and services when you want to expect them. Thank you. And then, so I'm going to end up in about 1 minute. More market research type of slides. The tonnage that tractor trailers are hauling is increasing, and there's a driver shortage that's occurring in North America. So what we do is we need to develop goods and solutions in order to meet that. Part of that solution is the connected vehicle. Every fleet wants to know what's going on with its vehicle because every customer, every one of you wants to know when your shoes are going to be delivered, and is it in the morning or the afternoon? We all remember that there's a famous analogy that talks about in the old Soviet Union where you had you go and buy a washing machine and you say, hey, I'd like a washing machine, and they said, no problem. And then the customer says, well, when would you like it delivered? And they say, well, I'll have it in 5 years. Oh, when? March 21st in 5 years. And then you say, in the morning or in the afternoon? And the private provider laughs, oh, why is that important, morning or afternoon, March 31st in 5 years? And the guy says, because my new car is being delivered in the morning. So you don't want two things going on at the same time. But as 21st century customers, we're expecting all of our tractor trailers to be able to talk to each other so that we can deliver on the promise of the goods and services that ultimately get delivered to our clients. So, in conclusion of this introductory portion, the goals for this business forum: network, meet 5 people you haven't met before, glean some ideas. As one of my college professors said, steal shamelessly from any types of ideas that you can see because you can build on those ideas. Also, focus on the customer. Meet with your customer. You can't believe how many meetings we have at Michelin where we just talk to each other. And even the marketing people haven't spoken to the customer. And one of my goals is every single meeting, I say, who's the last person in this meeting who's spoken to the customer? And I also try to make that be myself. The third one is leverage the government. Latvian government is similar to like the Irish government. I really like the Irish and the Israelis in high tech especially. They have very good government plans for how to introduce companies and fledgling companies to other areas of industry. Latvian government with the LIAA, with the Honorary Consul Network, there are lots of tools to leverage the presence in new markets. So I want to thank you for the opportunity. Remember the words customer and remember the words business. Thank you, Peter.
All right, let's turn it over to Girts. I think, so Valmir Glass is, primarily does its work in the German language, but that's not one of our options today, so Girts is going to speak in Latvian.
Labdien, klātesošie! Mēs šodien esam atnākuši, lai mēs mazliet pastāstītu varbūt ar savu pieredzi, kā mums ir klājies Amerikā, bet, lai to izdarītu, mums mazliet jāiepazīstina ar to, kas mēs esam. Mēs esam Valmieras stils šķiedrs, ne tikai rūpnīca vien, bet nu jau grupa. Grupa, kas savā būtībā ir jau 1400 darbiniekiem. 2 valstīs, 3 rūpnīcas, mūsu produkts savā būtībā ir jau gandrīz katrā kontinentā. Ja runājam par grupu, tad mums jebkurā gadījumā gribētu parādīt arī to, kas mēs esam, kas mēs bijām, bet jebkurā gadījumā mums ļoti liels uzsvars un vēlme ir skatīties, un vienmēr tā ir bijis uz priekšu, ja ieskatāmies mazliet vēsturē, tad tā mūsu attīstību var sadalīt varbūt tādos divos sākuma posmos. 63. gadā šogad 55 gadi jau pašai Valmieras rūpnīcai, un otrs sākums jau savā būtībā bija varbūt sistēmas jukšana, privatizācija un vācu investoru ienākšana, kas principā radīja šo lineāro līkni attīstībā. Ko šī lineārā līkne nozīmē? Šī nozīmē investīcijas, par kurām es pieskāršos mazliet vēlāk, bet tās ir sistēmiskas un stabilas investīcijas. Mēs būvējam jaunas krāsnes, mēs attīstamies, apgūstam, iegādājamies savus meitas uzņēmumus, lai paplašinātu tirgu Anglijā. Un 14. gadā jau liekam pamatus tam, lai sāktu savu virzību, vīziju, soli Amerikas virzienā. Kā tas tirgus sadalās, lai saprastu, kāpēc mēs to Ameriku virzamies? Principā 70% no visu tā, ko mēs ražojam, veidojam, paliek Eiropā. Un 15% aiziet uz Ameriku. Un šīs Amerikas tirgus ir ļoti, ļoti augošs. Amerikā ir klienti, un tā vēlme ir būt viņam tuvāk. Un tie iemesli varbūt atkal būs mazliet vēlāk. Ko mēs ražojam? Mēs ražojam pilnu ciklu tehnoloģijas, no pilnu ciklu produktus, ņemam smilts, izkausējam, iegūstam šķiedru, no šķiedras iegūstam diegu, no diega iegūstam kaut ko aužam, un šo produktu, ko noaužam, apstrādājam dažādos termiskos, ķīmiskos veidos. Savā būtībā mēs pieliekam pievienoto vērtību katrā nākamajā solī. Sākot ar smiltīm un beidzot ar šo audeklu, kurām ir pievienotas noteikts īpašības. Kur mēs varam izmantot to visu, ko mēs ražojam? Mēs radām kaut ko neticam, dodam cilvēkiem un pasargājam cilvēkus no uguns, mēs pasargājam cilvēkus no dūmiem, mēs liekam un ļaujam smagām lietām pacelties uz gaisā. Un šīs tās sfēras soli atpakaļējot, kur mēs varam izmantot. Mēs ražojam izejmateriālu no pašas smilts, šīs šķiedras, šis ir diegs. Ražojam termoizolācijas materiālus, mēs ražojam autobūvēju izolācijas materiālus, mēs ražojam kosmosam, mēs ražojam kuģiem, mēs ražojam arhitektūrai. Un tas viss ir viena mērķa labā, tas viss ir tādēļ, lai cilvēkam būtu kāds labums no tā visa. Šī sadaļa jau mazliet konkrētāk parāda to, ka bez visa tā, ko mēs darām, liela daļa, un to jūs noteikti esat redzējuši, pieņemsim mobilos telefonos, lietojam kaut ko no stikla šķiedras. Katrā mobilā telefonā ir plati, kas ir veidot no stikla šķiedras. Mājas siltināšana, tas ir tas, ko tepat Latvijā ļoti vienkārši varam redzēt. Auto izplūdes sistēma, lidmašīnas, vēja ģenerators, pārni, tas viss ietver sevī stikla šķiedru. Lai to visu izdarītu, lai to neticamo veidot, mums ir jāstāsta nākotnē, kā mēs teicu. Lai skatītos nākotnē, ir nepieciešami resursi, un viens no šiem resursiem ir investīcijas. Investīcijas, lai mēs spētu būt līderi, lai mēs spētu apgūt tos tirgus beigās, tā skaitā uz šodien jau Ameriku. Un, ja mēs skatāmies uz investīciju apjomiem, tad tās ir ļoti stabilas bijušas kopš paša sākuma, otrā sākuma, tā varētu teikt. Un pēdējā gada investīcijas, kas mums ir bijušas iepriekšējo gadu un turpināt šajā gadā, ir saistīts ar vienu mērķi, ar vienu fokusu, un tā ir Amerika. 14. gadā mēs uzbūvējām pirmo soli Amerikā, tā bija iekārta, ražoja specifisks produkts, un tas iemesls, lai būtu tuvāk klientam, mēs tērām otro soli. Un otrais solis jau bija nevis iekārta, nevis māja, bet pilns jau sākotnējs ražošanas process ar sākotnēju rūpnīcu, stikla šķiedru. Darba vietas vairāk kā 500 cilvēkiem līdz 22. gadam plānots, patreiz ar 400 cilvēkiem ir nodarbināti. Investīcijas, kā jau mēs redzējām, vairāk kā 100 miljonu apmērā. Kādēļ mēs to darām? Tādēļ šie iemesli ir vairāk. Viens no tiem, ka Amerikas tirgus ļoti attīstās. Mēs ar mērķi, kā jau teicu, būt tuvāk klientiem. Un šī attīstības tendence Amerikā ir iespaidīga. Principā pēdējos 19 gados līdz 22. gadam šīs tirgus attīstīsies 34 reizes. 34 reizes. Iemesli, kāpēc vēlamies būt tur, kur mēs esam. Tie ir saistīti ar mums pašiem, ar mūsu biznesu, un tas ir saistīts ar klientiem. Dēļ klientiem mēs esam tuvāk, mūsu piegādes vairs nav okeāna starpā, ir ātrākas, precīzākas, bez nobīdēm, bez vētrām, bez iemesliem. Mums ir ļoti augošs tirgus, kā jau es minēju. Amerikā liela atšķirība ar Latviju, tie ir energoresursi, elektrība, gāze, kas savā būtībā ir 40–70% lētāk, prognozējamāk. Un tie bija tie iemesli. Un, protams, Džordžijas štatā ļoti spēcīgi daudz pieejams darba resursu. Tās lietas, kas ļāva šo biznesu uzsākt Amerikā. Un tas gala rezultāts visam ir tas, ka mēs esam radījuši jaunu uzņēmumu, kur patreiz valmierieši iedalās, attīst ikdienā. Bet tā problēma, varbūt risks vienīgais, ar kur mēs esam saskārušies dotajā brīdī, tas sausais atlikums, varbūt nobeigumā ir tas, ka cilvēku ir daudz, bet kvalifikācija ir tas, ar ko mēs strādājam, ar ko mēs cīnāmies ikdienā. Cilvēku kvalifikācija Amerikā ir lielākais resurss, manuprāt, kas prasīs laiku un ieguldījums, jo varbūt tā, mazliet liriski sakot, mēs lielā pļavā uzbūvējam rūpnīcu. Ja Valmierā šai rūpnīcai un zināšanām ir turpat 50–60 gadu pieredze, tad Amerikā šo pieredzi mēs sākam veidot. Un tajā visā ieguldījumu doto brīdi, ikdienu, jau sākot ar pagājušā gada beigām, decembris, janvārs, mūsu cilvēki piedalās lielā apjomā, ar lielu atdevu un lielu darbu. Valmiera.
Okay, we're going to move from fiberglass to the law. I don't know. It depends on if you're an engineer or a lawyer, which you'd prefer. So I'm going to turn it over to Erik Kalniņš.
Thank you, Peter. And I'd just like to say you look very comfortable on that couch there. You look great.
Wait, I fall asleep.
I'll keep looking over. Thank you all for coming. I have a rather large handout here. I promise we're not going to go through many slides at all. But I would like to go over at least a few of these. I would like people to come to a conference like this and have information to take back with them. If you look through all the pages of this handout, it contains a lot of the questions you should be asking yourself if you want to do business from the European market into the U.S. Everything from taxes. We have federal, state, local, death taxes. We don't have the VAT tax. Hopefully we'll never have that, but we'll see. The government's always trying to raise money in creative ways. Liability insurance. Do you want a joint venture? Do you want a corporation? People will come up to me and say, when they're coming into the U.S., Eric, just set up an LLC for me. I have this business I want to do in the U.S. Great, let's move on from there. And I say, well, it's not that easy. What does your business do? Is it in the services sector? Is it in the manufacturing? Do you have a product? There are a lot of different considerations to take into contemplation before setting up a business. Is it going to be a sole proprietor? Are you by yourself? Is it a general partnership? Is it a C Corp, which has various tax ramifications, most notably the double tax? Is it an S Corp? Is it an LLC? The first two items I just mentioned, sole proprietorship and general partnerships, an important concept to remember in the United States is asset protection. Sole proprietorships, general partnerships don't have asset protection. If something happens, they're going to be suing you individually and trying to take all of your assets. That's why we typically recommend either a C Corp, which is a corporation that you get taxed at the corporate level and at the shareholder level. A lot of people don't like that, so they think, well, I'll move on to the S Corporation. Well, a foreign person cannot have a membership interest in an S corporation, and there can only be certain types of members of an S corporation. Okay, Eric, well, how about just an LLC? Well, you can be taxed as an LLC if you have multiple partners pursuant to general partnership guidelines. So as you can see, there are a lot of different things to consider when setting up a business. You don't want to just jump into it, because what you'll find is business-minded people move towards money, profit motive, money, profit motive. You have to think of all these little things that are going to catch up with you in a year, 2 years, 10 years. What happens when you pass away? That's what our firm tries to do. We deal with a lot of people that are setting up small businesses, or they're trying to raise money through private equity, let's say venture capital. We deal with a lot of family offices that are very wealthy that do direct investments now, which is sort of a newer concept, where these large families just go directly invest in these various startups or companies and bypass the normal economic sector. On the income tax side, there are a lot of things to think about when you're coming into the United States as to how much of what you are creating or the services that you are providing in the U.S. are going to be subject to U.S. income tax. Is there a treaty between the U.S. and the country you're coming from? They all have different standards. You have to think of it this way. You have income tax, you have estate tax if you die, you have gift tax if you want to pass assets to your loved ones or somebody else. Each of them have their different elements that have been built up over the various years. They're very confusing, but the last thing you want to do is set up a very successful business and later find out that the income tax or estate tax ramifications are all bad. For example, on the income tax side, are you a U.S. resident alien, i.e. a green card holder? If you're a green card holder, you're basically a U.S. citizen for tax purposes and estate tax purposes. Maybe that's fine. You also get the deductions that go along with that, but you want to consider that up front. Do you have a substantial presence in the U.S. with regards to your income tax consequences? You'll hear the 183-day rule. I can't be in the U.S. more than 183 days. Really? It's a lot less than 183 days if you look through the whole formula. Sometimes it can come in as low as 120 days if you're not watching it. So that's a very important concept to think about on the income tax side. Estate tax sides. Well, you're thinking, Eric, I don't care about estate taxes. This isn't an estate planning seminar. Well, it is important because none of us know when they're going to pass away. And true to form, a lot of the business people in the world never think they're going to die. Well, we're all going to die. And if you pass away in the United States, what happens to that real estate that you have there? It's going to be subject to U.S. taxation at 40%, and you don't get all the credits that a U.S. citizen would have unless you're a green card holder, or maybe you're a non-resident alien that doesn't have enough touches with the United States to pull you into that tax regime. But you have to think about it. For example, you have real estate worth a few $1 million in the U.S. You pass away, subject to U.S. taxes. If you think of it beforehand and maybe set up a C Corp blocker corporation outside of the United States to hold that U.S. real property, what you've basically done is converted that real property into personal property for gift tax purposes. So if you're in ill health, you can just transfer that to somebody, one of your loved ones, and not be subject to the gift tax. The little things you can do that can really make a difference. A lot of people are surprised when they get a mortgage on real estate on a big building in the United States. They pass away thinking, well, I'm only going to be subject to tax on the net value of that property, not including the mortgage. No, you'll be subject to the amount including the mortgage, which is a bad situation to be in, especially for your loved ones who are counting on that money. We also have a lot of how your assets are going to be structured, because I think an important thing to think about on the business side is everybody thinks income tax, income tax. Well, you also have to think about asset protection and succession planning. A successful business, I think in the United States, 75–80% of businesses don't survive the first generation because you're dealing with family members and nobody takes the time to think ahead and move it to the next generation. And like I said, nobody knows when they're going to pass away, so it's important to look into those issues. Are you coming to the U.S. and trying to raise money, raise capital? Well, there's this little government organization called the Securities and Exchange Commission. If you may have to be a registered investment advisor, depending on what you're doing, or a broker-dealer. And if you don't look into this, there are serious ramifications that people don't go into it thinking, I'm going to break these rules, but they have to think about these rules up front. On the liability side, it's interesting. I arrived here yesterday with my family, my 3 children and my wife, and we went over to this place where the kids can walk around in the woods, and they got zip lines and all of those types of things. And my wife is saying, wow, they should do this in the United States. They'd make a fortune. I'm just going through and saying, wow, liability, liability. A zip line that goes across the river, are you kidding me? It looks like a lot of fun, and the only reason we didn't do it is because we didn't have the proper shoes. We just had sandals on. We were in Jurmala 2 days ago, and they had this thing called Tarzans. So the first level is pretty easy, so my 11, 8, and 7-year-old, they're going through it very easily. But you go to the next level, they say, yeah, I think your 11-year-old can handle it. He's 100 feet in the air, and he gets through the 9 stations, and he's really tired, and eventually somebody has to come, okay, and pull him down about 3/4 of the way through. I'm thinking, this would never go over in the U.S. It would just never work. So you have to have a different mindset on the liability and the legal standard side. Really quickly, the Trump tax plan came through. It came through faster than anybody believes anything could go through Congress and be signed into law. I've never seen anything go through this fast. This was what President Trump promised in his campaign. As you can see the timeline here, it started in December. So towards the end of December, he signed it into law. And one of the things that I want you to get out of this is how things can quickly change in the United States. The corporate tax changed dramatically. It used to be the highest rate in the world. It's 35%. Now it's down to 21%. Partnership, therefore, went down to a potential 20% reduction, depending on how you follow through on the requirements to fulfill that. But a lot of this has to do with partisanship. Not one Democrat voted for this. So some of these rules are permanent, but a lot of these rules on the partnership taxation side and the state side automatically end in 2025. That's part of the United States. The tax laws really make a difference, and you have to have somebody working with you to make sure that you stay on top of them, structure your business properly. And with that, I will move on to the next person. Thank you for your time.
I don't know if I mentioned that I'm a lawyer as well, and I think that Eric gave most lawyers view a successful presentation as one where they persuaded you the subject matter was so complex that you have no choice but to hire them to help you with it. All right, now let's turn it over to Nathan.
Civics, Nathan Christensen. I've been on an airplane sitting down for quite a few hours, so I'm going to stand up. Forgive me. First of all, I'd like to say thanks to Christine for inviting us here as part of this, as well as to the World Federation of Free Latvians and the Valmiera Regional Development Agency for organizing this. This is my first trip to Latvia, and I'm really excited to interact with it and learn about it through this forum. So first I'd like to say the word innovation, what this forum is about, when people think of that, they usually think technology, apps, software, but I feel it's more useful to think about it in terms of adaptability or ingenuity. It's a more universal way to think about innovation. And I want to start off with a quick thought experiment. So I'm going to describe a business, and as I describe it, I want you to try to imagine what that business is. So imagine you go to a restaurant. You walk through the doors. Instead of talking with a person, you go to a screen, you order the food that you want, or you go to the counter, you order the food that you want. When your number comes up, you take that food back to your table, you eat. When you're done with your food, you bust the dishes yourself, take those to the kitchen or to a waiting area, and then you leave. So I forgive you if in your mind you're thinking of Hesburger or McDonald's, and I would forgive you for thinking, what does that have to do with innovation that's already happening? It's already going on. It's been talked about for years, and it's already happening. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about fine dining in San Francisco and New York City, where cost of mandatory minimum wage has made it too expensive to hire waiters and wait staff. So what are those business owners doing? Are they shutting the restaurants down? No, they still want to be a fine dining institution, so they're going to fast fine dining models. So you go to the counter and you order your $100 filet mignon, your foie gras, and your $100 bottle of red wine, and you'll take it back to the table yourself, to your white tablecloths and your china and your silverware, eat it, and when you're done, take that to the kitchen yourself. And that's people would think I'm not going to go spend $250 on a nice meal for me and my date for that type of experience, but it's already happening. There's already restaurants in New York City and San Francisco that are doing this. And that's an innovative approach to how do we stay in business and how do we adapt our business model to the new regulations. So with that, I want to give a little bit of background to who I am and what I do that will inform you as to my opinions and to what I'm here to talk about. So as it was said, I work for the Naval Postgraduate School. We're under the purview of the U.S. Department of Defense. So at any given time, we're educating, and before I say anything else, I'll say I'm here speaking on my own accord. I do not represent the U.S. government, all right? At any given time, we're training and educating up to 2,000 U.S. and civilian military personnel. And we have 4 schools, 30 centers, 4 institutes, about 70 different curricula. So we teach anything from financial management, business development, to how to be an astronaut, electronic warfare, undersea warfare. So we run the gamut of what's going on at the school. I don't know, I need to point this. There we go. So this map isn't coming through, but just as a quick note, about 10% or a little bit more than 10% of our students are international. So at any given time, we have a few Latvians walking around campus as well. I fairly regularly interact with 1 or 2 Latvian officers throughout my day-to-day job. So just as a point of interest. So also, we have a unique interaction where we're an academic institution, we're also a government institution, and we interact with the private sector, which makes it a very complex and a very unique environment. And we are tasked with bringing concepts quickly to market. So from conceptual point to the field. And we have to be successful in that. So it's a very complex and very competitive marketplace that we're dealing with. So specifically, my area of work is security cooperation. I'm tasked with understanding the needs of the U.S. government and our partner countries and applying the resources of the Naval Postgraduate School, namely our faculty and their expertise and our students and their expertise, to those problems, trying to find solutions that we can take out to the real world and apply those solutions. Personally, I'm mostly interested in what I work on closely is combating terrorism initiatives, UN peacekeeping, NATO centers of excellence, as well as fiscal transparency and anti-corruption. And prior to MPS, I worked in the private sector for over 10 years, both as Peter said, in the US and in Europe. Okay, so what does that mean? A lot of what I do is problem solving and trying to find innovative solutions for new problems and emerging problems. As far as innovation and opportunities through innovation in the United States, well, networking is key. In my experience, even though what I do is work with our foreign partner countries, go and work with their militaries and their governments on how to implement solutions that are beneficial to both of us, it's networking relationships is still what it boils down to. You also need to embrace the landscape. You need to understand what you're getting yourself into, and you need to take advantage of that. Don't view it as a roadblock, but view it as an opportunity. They mentioned a lot about the rules and the regulations there. Now, I know there's a few other countries that have more rules and regulations than the United States, but don't also view that as a problem. Those rules and regulations can equal stability and can equal a more understanding of what the future is going to be. So it helps you to plan your long planning processes. And lastly, I want you to remember that if it was easy, everybody would do it. So think of those roadblocks and those difficulties as opportunities. If you can come up with a solution that's better than the next guy or quicker than the next guy, that's where your value lies, and that's what you have to offer and what you have to put to the table. So with that, I want to keep it under the time limit, and we'll turn it back over to the group. And we look forward to hearing from you and your questions. Thank you.
All right, I don't maybe, Ingrid, you can advise us, how much time do we have for Q&A? 15, 30?
You're supposed to have coffee until 11:20.
At 11:20? So we have about,
Until 11:20.
oh, so
We're technically starting our coffee break at 11.
okay. Well, you know what? I think this is more, it'll keep you more awake to do a Q&A than drink coffee. Let's at least do 10 minutes of Q&A.
We can definitely do it.
Hey,
There's
yeah.
a question that came in on text message.
Oh my gosh, okay. All right, I'm gonna ask you guys a quick question of my own, and then I'll study this one. It's very small handwriting, and it might be from a lunatic. We don't know, so I have to make sure that. Well, I mean, if it came in on the internet, you don't know who's watching. So I thought it was interesting that Edix mentioned that it's actually a good business environment to enter right now in the U.S. with lower taxes, less regulation. But at the same time, I think we all understand that this administration is also anti-globalist, it seems, and so it's where do we stand? It's a great place to do business right now, but are foreign businesses really welcome, or are there special barriers created for them in the U.S.?
Yeah, just my own personal opinion. I don't know if anti is the right word to use. A lot of people in American business feel that we are paying unneeded taxes, for example, to China, where we have to import a car and pay 25% tax, whereas we import a car from that region of the world and they pay 2%. In Wisconsin, dairy products going to Canada, in some instances, can be taxed as much as 290% higher because it's coming into Canada. I think what President Trump, just from my own personal opinion, is doing is trying to, pursuant to his book, aim really high and then end up somewhere in between. And he's setting the stage for that. And people aren't used to that in the normal government sector of the business style of negotiating. And that's just my personal opinion. I don't know if anybody else has anything to say on that.
Say a couple words. One of the adages in America is the business of America is business, and it's been that way for a long time. And President Trump is a businessman, and I think America is more open for business than at any time, in its history, and open to fledgling type of businesses too, startup type of businesses. There's a definite embrace of the new technology companies. Everyone loves saying FANG stocks for Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. But all those that type of business and that new way of thinking, how developers think and how IT professionals think, it's really become starting to pervade the marketplace, and that makes everything open on a global basis. And Trump's task is to make it open. One of the presenters also mentioned that you want certainty, a long-term certainty, and that's one thing that's a challenge. So that's one that we have to keep an eye on.
Great, thanks. Here's the question that came in via text, and it's for Gitz. Oh, did you want to? Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead and answer. Did you want to comment on the first question? Or do you want me to read the...
Valsts atbalsts Amerikā. Es domāju, ka viennozīmīgi mūsu biznesam tas ir bijis ļoti liels, jo to pretīm nākšanu arī no pašvaldības puses mēs esam redzējuši ļoti lielu interesētību ne tikai vārdos, bet arī darbos, līdzīgi kā tas ir Valmierā. Ja, un tas fenomens ir tas, ka kādreiz, ja kādam latvietim Valmierā teikt to, ka mums būs rūpnīca, latviešu rūpnīca un latviešu mācīs strādāt Amerikā, tad gadus 10 atpakaļ tas būtu diezgan komiski izklausījies, bet tas ir fakts, un šis fakts ir panākts, es domāju, ar ļoti lielu tieši pašvaldības ieinteresētību, konkrētās pašvaldības ieinteresētību Džordžijas štatā, un es domāju, ka tas nav tikai Džordžijas štats, izvēle bija un alternatīvas bija vairākos štatos, un bez pašvaldības ieinteresētības, es domāju, tos rezultātus un to ātrumu, pat arī birokrātijā, kādā mēs esam gājuši tieši Amerikā, nebūtu iespējami, viennozīmīgi.
We'll get one for yeah.
Sure. Just my quick personal opinion on that is, if you're a billion-dollar company and your company name is in the headlines quite a bit, then maybe you need to worry about what the administration is talking about. But if you're a small business, it's really business as usual. And actually, it's better than business as usual, as Eric said, because of the tax rates. It's becoming more and more friendly than it ever has before. So I think that's probably not something most companies need to worry about, and also it's region-specific too, as far as where that pushback is coming from.
Great. Okay, here's the question that came in via text. It's in Latvian, and I'll read it in Latvian. It's for Girts. Kāda ir stikla šķiedras attīstības stratēģija nākošajiem 10 gadiem tieši Valmierā? Vai ir plānoti ieguldījumi attīstībā, vai tieši darbības sašaurināšanās un ražošanas pārcelšana vēl uz citām valstīm?
Es domāju, ka pirmām kārtām jautājums ir ļoti skaidrs. Amerikas projekts savā būtībā nav bāzēts uz ražošanas pārcelšanu. Tas ir tieši pretēji bāzēts uz to tirgus attīstību, kas pēdējā laikā ir notikusies pasaulē, mūsu industrijā. Un rūpnīca Amerikā ir absolūti tirgus stiprināšana caur to, ka Valmierai Amerikas rūpnīca ražos, veidos izējmateriālu, lai tieši otrādi stiprinātu Valmieras pozīcijas tirgu. Ja runājam par ilgtermiņu, tad tie mērķi, kas ir attiecībā uz Valmieru, ir viennozīmīgi augsti pievienotās vērtības produktu attīstīšana, respektīvi ražot produktus ar lielāku zināšanu, lielāku know-how. Un tas ir tas mērķis. Mērķis nav pārcelt ražošanu no Latvijas uz Ameriku kaut kādu šādu vai tādu iemeslu dēļ. Mērķis uzbūvēt Amerikā rūpnīcu bija un ir būt tuvāk klientiem. Tas ir viens mērķis. Otrs mērķis ir, lai mēs, kā jau teicu, spētu nodrošināt savu kapacitāti ar izējmateriāliem, ar sevis ražotiem izējmateriāliem. Ja Amerikas rūpnīca nebūtu, tad faktiski mūsu kapacitāte ir lielāka ražošanas, nekā mēs spējam iepirkt savus izējmateriālus. Un tas nozīmē, ka Amerikas projekts ir vitāli svarīgs. Vitāli svarīgs ilgspējīgai Valmieras attīstībai.
Let's throw that cube around. Who wants to ask a question in the audience? Where's the cube? Oh, there it is. If I don't see a hand raised, I'll just instruct him to throw it out there, and then wherever it lands. Okay.
Halo, šajā galā. Mans jautājums arī būtu Valmieras stikla šķiedrai. Te iet diskusijas visu laiku Latvijas valstī par OIK reformu. Gribēju jautāt, gribēju jautāt, kā OIK reforma ietekmēs ražošanu tieši Latvijā?
OIK reforma pat par sevi, mums ir uzraudzības padomes loceklis šeit zālē ļoti dziļi iekšā OIK reformās, Brutānkungs, uzraudzības padomes loceklis. Bet kā tas ietekmē mūs? Es domāju, ka pats fakts laika atpakaļ šo cīņu mēs uzsākām vienu iemeslu pēc, un tā ir ļoti būtiska. Būtiska ir tieši ar šo vienu no komponentēm. Un, ja salīdzinām Ameriku, tad Amerikā, es sāku no otra gala. Šis gals ir tāds, ka mūsu ražošana patiesībā ir ļoti energoietilpīga. Ļoti energoietilpīga. Un tas izmantojām gāzi, elektrību. Un konkrētajā brīdī jebkas, kas mums ļautu savā būtībā pozitīvu virzienu dabūt OIK, es nevarētu teikt, varbūt arī reformā izmaiņās, tas skars tieši mums. Kādēļ? Iemesls ir ļoti vienkāršs. Mēs atrodamies Valmierā šodien, šeit Latvijā. Un, ja mēs paskatāmies salīdzinot kaut vai ar Ameriku, mūsu piegādātāji atrodas 2000–3000 km attālumā. Un elektrības cenas vienalga, vai viņas iet uz augšu vai uz leju, jebkurā gadījumā ietekmē mūsu izmaksas. Tieši tāpatās kā mūsu piegādātāji. Ja pasaka, ka mums ceļās benzīna cena, ceļās mūsu pašizmaksas. Un ko tas nozīmē ilgtermiņā? Ilgtermiņā nozīmē to, ka es pie klienta nevaru aiziet un pateikt, mums ir pacēlusies enerģija, patīk un cik centiem, un mums jāpaceļ cena, jo mūsu klients Amerikā, Vācijā, Japānā neinteresē šīs izmaiņas, kas notiek šeit. Bet jebkurā gadījumā mēs esam šo ceļu uzsākuši ar Brutāna kunga palīdzību, iegūši rezultātus, es domāju, un jebkurā gadījumā, ja būs izmaiņas, tad tās noteikti būs tikai vienīgi pozitīvas.
I think we're running out of time. Maybe one last comment from each of you. There's a lot of young people in the audience. In fact, we're really proud that we have a bunch of the American Latvian Association has a bunch of interns, over 25 almost, working in Latvia this summer, and many of them are here today. So, but also this is for young people Latvians living in Latvia who are interested in going global. Maybe each of you can give me one quick tip that you think they should bear in mind for being successful in business in anywhere, and also one area, product, or service that you think has growth potential in the U.S. in the next 5 to 10 years, the type of business they should try to get into as they begin their careers.
Most important is a can-do attitude in the United States, and you have to be relentless. Don't rely on sending something one time and getting a response. And one other practical thing is get some relevant internship experience really fast on your resume, and that means start while you're in high school. Go to work somewhere as a receptionist or even delivering donuts to people. Get Valmiera Stikla on your resume, or get Michelin on your resume, whether or not it was a paid something that you did there, because that'll open the door and be like a credo for you.
Yeah, Latvians have a great reputation in the United States. There was a book written a few years ago called The Millionaire Next Door. And for smaller population countries, Latvia was number 2 behind Israel as far as wealthier individuals that have done well in the U.S. Obviously, I have some clients in Latvia. One of them actually sells his product that he manufactures here through Amazon. Amazon has really created a real opportunity for people around the world to sell in the U.S. because they can take care of the inventory and give you some help with some of the tax issues related there too. But I think the internet is really the area that's helped, specifically through Amazon, to provide people with a real opportunity. And most importantly, get to know some Latvians in the United States. Everybody, I'm on the board of directors of the Latvian American Chamber of Commerce. We're trying to get more commerce going back and forth between Latvia. Get to know somebody. We're looking for you. It's all about networking. People you know that can help you get your product or service out there.
Kas varētu noderēt? Es domāju, ka tas, kas ir nepieciešams Amerikā, ir tas pats, ko jau vienmēr teikusi Amerika ir iespēja zemi. Lai cik tas savādi neizliktos, tā interese aizvien no pašvaldības, kas ir bijusi un ļāvusi konkrētajā Laurens apgalā uzbūvēt mums rūpnīcu, parāda to, ka jābūt vīzijai, pārliecībai, tas ir viennozīmīgi, zināšanām ir jābūt. Ir jābūt kaut kam unikālam, ir jābūt kaut kam atšķirīgam no tā, ko mēs darām, bet tāpat laikā savā būtībā stikla šķiedra ražo ne tikai Amerikā, ne tikai Valmierā, ne tikai Vācijā, to ražo visur. Un tas nozīmē to, ka var Amerikā ieiet gan ar plašu produkta paku savā būtībā, ar vienkāršu produktu, bet tas potenciāls mūsuprāt ir vērsts aizvien uz to, ka ja mēs radām kaut ko atšķirīgi no visiem pārējiem, piemēram, pēc Valmiera ražo 3 veidu stiklus, un ja mēs nomēram varbūt tehniskos lielumos, tad stikla šķiedras materiāls var izturēt no 600 grādu līdz 1100 grādu darba temperatūrā. Tas ir principā unikāls īpašības. Un ja mēs spējam palielināt, uzlabot, pievienot vēl zināšanas, vērtību da jebkam, vai tas ir produkts, vai tas ir cilvēks, tad šāds cilvēks ir noteikti ar lielu potenciālu Amerikā. Viennozīmīgi. Ierobežojumi, manuprāt, īsti nav. Jāņem vērā, protams, komplicēto formalitāšu pusi, par ko jau šeit panelisti runāja, bet iespējas ir aizvien, ir bijušas, no man šķiet, ka arī būs.
So, speaking specifically to the younger part of the audience, as he asked, I would say leveraging your network is the most important part, and the way to do that is to be an interesting person. Know who you are and be that person. Nobody wants to work with a jerk, and nobody wants to work with someone who's exactly like them. That gets boring very quickly. So follow your passions and be yourself, and learn how to communicate that. Learn how to have productive discussions with those around you. So people want to hear your differences, and they want to know why you are the way you are and why you think that way. And it's okay to disagree, but learn how to be able to have those conversations where you disagree in a productive manner, where you can establish a relationship and you can grow from there. And if you're an interesting person and you bring that with you as part of your package, it makes networking a lot easier. It helps building that, because people want to help you then, and they want to introduce you to their network. And I think that's probably the most valuable way to get a foothold within the U.S. is through networking, and you've got to add value to why people would want to add you to their network, and that's a great way to do it if you're young and you don't have a lot of experience right away.
Okay, great. Well, thank you to the panel. Let's go have some coffee, and then we'll get back together.
Thank you so much, Peter, for moderating this very interesting panel. Thank you to all the panelists. I have two quick announcements. First is we're back at 11:25. Second, coffee is on the second floor lobby, so you go out that way and up the stairs. Presentations will be online after the conference, and 2 people have to report to Valda Liepinja, Rudolf Skreslinch and Leva Stormane. See you at 11:25.